Dun, 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 dun. All right, we are live for our first show in 2024. Welcome, Chris Ho. Thank you for filling in for me.
Happy New Year! Yeah.
Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Hanging with the Hobros. Because Rob is sick, so I called my reliable brother to see what he was doing. And we'll talk and chat with you guys a little bit about the current news. And whatever you guys want to bring up, and then we won't keep you too long because we know this is the last day of the holiday for a lot of you. So I'm sure you got other things to get to. So I thank you for giving us your Sunday night. Chris, how you doing, man? Feels like it's been a minute.
Yeah, I don't think I've been on the Sidekick Show since you went to hiatus, and then you moved to Sundays.
You're like,
a lot of changes. Yeah, a lot of changes. This is great.
When did this happen on Sundays? What up, Scott? What up, Lewis? I see you in the chat. Anyone else in the chat, let us know. There is a 10-second delay, so sometimes we don't see your comments till a little bit after. So please be patient. Yeah, some of us are current. Really, Scott? I guess you're in between. Scott just moved, I believe. So yeah, we'll get into that. So we're here to talk about Draymond Green. He's back from his 12-game suspension, right, Chris? Like that's what we're here to talk about tonight, right? Like, is that a big deal? 12 games sounds like a lot.
Yes, that is a real basketball player. I'm surprised you know who that is.
No, but 12 games that sounded like a lot. Do you know how many games that they like? I feel like it just happened, and then all of a sudden they're announcing. I'm like, did they cut it short? Whatever, you know. If I want to nerd out about
12 seems like 12 is a significant chunk of the season. I don't know if you saw what he did. Like I watched the replay of what he did. Yeah, he did like the 360 like punch. Like that's not a basketball move. I've never seen that before.
Zangief in Street Fighter. All right,
yeah,
12 games.
He did the spinning lariat. Yeah, he got so mad he pushed all three punch buttons at the same time and did the spin.
Oh, this is the greatest ever. All right, I don't think we need Rob to come back. I don't think Rob would have got that one. But again, folks, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So if you are watching us live, awesome. Thank you very much, folks. Get in the chat. The YouTube is the most active. You can interact with everybody there. So get in on that. If you're listening to us on the replay, we are available on Spotify, iTunes, all your major podcast delivery services. But come join us for the live show. Right now, it's currently on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see if that moves in the new year. Like Chris got suddenly surprised. I'm going to quickly talk about some stuff going down at the shop, and then we're going to get into our whole Blade, John Wick, Century, all kinds of the different news things that dropped. And keep in mind that I'm not very good at vetting these things, and I'm just grabbing stuff from the internet. So it's going to be very clickbaity, folks. So let's have some fun. Yeah, he got a 4 down forward high punch or something like that. It's crazy. Yeah. So going down at the shop at Heroes World, we are repping Heroes World. We have the return of Comics, Cookies, and Conversation with Andre, which is the comic book club. So if you want to join us on those nights, the next 2 dates have been announced. So January 5th, we are doing Batman the White Knight, which is a really good story. If you've never read it, it's a brand new Batman universe, so you don't have to know any previous stuff going on. And it's Joker is cured, and he wants to save Gotham better than Batman can. It's all handled by Sean Murphy, art and writing. So it's a really cool book, and this is the first book they're going to cover that. And then Saga, which is Brian K. Vaughan, Fiona Staples, probably one of the best comic books on the market. Volume 1, about star-crossed lovers and a war of races and all this kind of stuff going on, and all kind of intergalactic craziness going on. It's been described as Final Fantasy meets Star Wars meets Firefly meets like all kinds of all your favorite genres rolled into one book. So definitely join us for that. And then I do have our pre-orders for The Last Ronin 2 are coming out. Chris, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this story, but they released a book called The Last Ronin, which if you follow Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from their original comic debut, it was a lot darker than our 80s morning cartoon. It was kind of a dark story created by Eastman and Lard. Lots of documentaries on it right now. But it was their original ending for the series, that there was only going to be one turtle left, and he was going to kind of carry on the mantle and in this dark future and all that kind of stuff. So this is the follow-up to this book. We do have volume 1 available and the Lost Years, which is a prequel, available for this storyline. But this is the brand new series coming out. A lot of people are looking forward to it. So check it out. And if you haven't read Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Last Ronin, get a copy from the shop on the ASAP. It's a great book. And then we did get this Doctor Strange from the Multiverse of Madness. So if you are a Doctor Strange fan, this is a pretty good version. I don't know. What did you think about the movie, Chris? I don't think I've watched it since.
Yeah, wasn't too hyped on it. Feel
Yeah,
like they kind of oversaturated this whole multiverse thing. I know Spider-Man did it like 4 months before they, or was it before after? I don't know. It seemed like they
it was like
redid
right
it a
before.
lot.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Kind of
The
gimmicky in my
multiverse.
opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The multiverse is seeming like a crutch nowadays to the Marvel universe and just anything in general. They're just like, oh, we'll just call it the multiverse and just throw in
Yep.
random stuff. But some people, some things have done it right. Everything, everywhere, all at once comes to mind. But all kinds of crazy stuff. But if you wanted definitive Doctor Strange, this one looks fantastic. Lots of great accessories. So if you're not familiar with Hot Toys, they are basically 12-inch dolls that look like your favorite superheroes. Like, look at that head sculpt. How do you feel about that Benedict Cumberbatch head sculpt, Chris?
Cumberbatch, I think, is his name, his actual name.
Cumberbatch.
And yeah, it looks good. They should have the hair move like in Infinity War, though.
Oh
After
yeah,
you're
yeah,
making your hair move not at the moment, they should have
yeah.
that a little hinge there to make it move. That'd be cool.
Just flips up, flips down.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for checking that out, folks. That's new stuff going down at the shop. But I do want to ask Chris Ho, if you got anything done during the holiday. Usually I ask Rob because he reads a ton of stuff, watches a ton of stuff. Chris Ho, I know you don't watch quite as much, but did you manage to get to anything this holiday? I did watch. I think I mentioned it to you, War Dogs on Netflix, number 2 on Netflix. For some reason, it's an old movie. It's from 2016. But Jonah Hill, when he was in, I don't want to say fat stage, but his not skinny stage, I guess. And who's that?
His pre like Oscar fate when he started to get Oscar nominated. I think he lost a lot of weight.
Yeah. But it's based on a true story. They're like gun runners or something like that. It was actually pretty good. I give it maybe 7 out of 10. But Chris, did you get up at anything during the holidays? Watch any new shows? Play any new games?
Shows. I didn't know you were gonna ask me this.
Yeah.
Actually,
Sorry. I'll go to you guys in the comments. Let us know.
I did finish the Spider-Man game. I thought that was great. Probably
Oh,
my game, but my favorite game I played this year. But that was really that took up a lot of my time over the holidays, but mostly playing that game. And then, yeah, that was not really any shows to watch these days. Uh, that's about it. I did
yeah.
rewatch The Bear. If anyone likes The
Oh
Bear,
yeah, the
that
Bear.
TV show, I rewatched that. That's a great show. If you're any kind of foodie or anything like that, that's a great show on Disney Plus.
I,
Actually, it is on.
I think it was. We did talk about like some of the best shows of the year a couple episodes ago, and Bear was on that list. And if you go online now and look up, best TV shows from the last year or so, Bear's on there, 100%.
Yeah.
Very authentic. And the guy who stars at it, I don't know what his real name is, but he's pretty good in it. Like
Yeah.
the Michelin chef.
Jeremy Allen White, I think is his name.
Yeah. Oh, look at you,
Yeah.
just pull that out of thin air.
One of those three name white guys.
Yeah, this guy's got crazy long names. So you guys have watched The Bear. Let us know if you enjoyed it. I'm trying to think. Scott mentions he's watching Reacher. He's loving it.
Boy, Reacher, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people are digging it. It's getting a lot of heat online. Generally, all throughout the holidays, it was basically I saw a lot of memes posting. Oh, the best thing about this holidays, Jack Reacher. Yeah, Alan Richkin like either punching a guy out or just stepping over a bunch of people or righting some wrong. So you can't go wrong.
Yeah, the best one is when the guys, everyone hates when dogs get abused on TV. This dog's getting abused, and he like owns the guy who does the dog. You're like, yes.
Yeah, you can't mess around. We're going to talk about John Wick later and people who love animals. So yeah, that's great. Lewis mentions he was talking to me earlier. He just picked up RoboCop. I did get a copy of that for my birthday. I did enjoy the first level. I haven't gotten back to it because life is crazy. But I'm also just lazy too. But if you guys are looking for RoboCop, I always say it's one of those great games that you pick up on sale. not quite like full price, but I think you'll have there's a lot of fun that you had in this game, and RoboCop's really, really having a moment. So yeah, shout outs to maybe Peter Weller is going to come back and do some
this role,
yeah, RoboCop, Alex Murphy or something, like Top Gun Maverick, but RoboCop, Alex Murphy. We'll see if that legacy comes back. Be pretty rough for him to get into that RoboCop costume nowadays, though. Baldur's Gate 3. Some guys shout out Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know if you got into that game at all, Chris. But I've heard a lot of things about this game. Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, definitely my kind of game. RPG style with the heavy fantasy element, obviously, things like that. Yeah, like games like Skyrim and things like that. I played that back in the day, so yeah, I do want to get this game. My computer's not good enough to run it, but I will probably get. Is it on
maybe get it for
PS3 or
Xbox?
PS4? Sorry,
Yeah.
PS5
Must be
actually.
on a
Sorry.
system. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're generation behind. PS5. Yeah, everything can run on PS5, right? That's my
I would think so.
understanding.
Yeah. Everyone's
Okay, you guys, if you got to anything that we've missed, let us know in the comments, and we'll cycle back to it. I'm trying to think of I did. If you guys didn't check out a Rebel Moon review, it was kind of a bonkers review, Chris. We each watched 40 minutes of the movie, a different 40 minutes, and we combined like Voltron to form a review for that show. For that, I call it a show, but I guess it's technically a movie on Netflix. So we'll see how it goes up. Yeah, Fraser's talking about One Punch Man. Yeah, the anime is
One
like
Punch Man.
super hot. Yeah,
love that show. I like how it's only 12 episodes.
yeah, you know, nice and tight. You don't
like
want to watch
a little dig at One Piece, but I know everyone loves that show. But I can't like. How could you even start One Piece now? Right? There's like thousands of episodes.
Yeah, I think the trick is you read the manga.
Okay.
And get up to date on that, because the manga you just fly through it. You can read manga pretty fast. So anyways, let's get into our news topics, folks. We won't keep you too long. We're going to chat about a couple things, so we would love to get your input on these random stories that I pulled up. And again, very clickbaity. I'm not as in-depth a reporter as Rob, so hopefully Chris can help me out on a lot of this stuff here. So let's talk about the main thumbnail that I made for this episode today, and one of the reasons why I wanted to get together and why I wanted to have my brother Chris Ho on, so we can talk a little bit about action movies. The director of John Wick, what's his name, Chad Stahelski or something like that. I usually wait for Rob to correct me. Chris is just going to shrug his shoulders. You guys in the comments, feel free to spell it out phonetically for me. But during an interview, he basically talked about how he's talked with a lot of the guys at Marvel, Kevin Feige and all those guys, and how they're kind of mentors to him, talked to him about how to build out the John Wick universe. And during the interview, he does state, and I'll quote here, "Of all things out there, I would take a swing at Blade in a second." And he goes on to talk a little bit about how he would definitely like to take a crack at that character. It seems like it's within his wheelhouse. And we do have, Marvel does have a new Blade movie coming out some ways away, and it suffered a lot of kind of setbacks and problems and people leaving, people coming on. And we're wondering what the state of this is. So maybe this is like a low-key tease here. But does the idea of maybe, like, I made a AI generated image here of Wesley Snipes,
that's great,
in a John Wicky type uniform. What things the modern technology can do for you now. But we all know it is starring Mahershala Ali. I don't know if he's going to exit at some point, as Steve Ewan, who we'll talk about later. But would you be interested in watching a Blade style movie a Blade movie in a John Wick style, like a Wesley Snipes combined with Keanu Reeves type vehicle, Chris? Do you think that has any merit?
For sure.
Do you think it could work?
Yeah. I mean, they're gonna. What are they? They got to kill his vampire dog at the beginning, right?
Yeah, with a stake through his heart.
Of course, yeah. But yeah, the first Blade. I remember me and you watching that in our basement. Just the first nightclub scene, the hyper violence, the aesthetic, everything. Like the Wesley Snipes fighting style. You know, you say what you want about Wesley Snipes nowadays, but like back then, he had his own like unique kind of way of cinematic fighting, which everyone was really into back then. And this. I think John Wick, the guy who directs John Wick, can really bring that to this character in a new, innovative way. Like, I don't know if John Wick's done a lot of sword. Did he do sword fighting? I completely miss it, but sword fighting, and then you got vampires coming at you, not guys in like bulletproof suits. So it'll be a different spin. But I'm sure he'll find a very creative way of and like enthralling way of involving that type of mythos, the vampire mythos. And of course, I think we're all into this idea.
Yeah. I think you can't go wrong with the way, and you pointed out the great point that Blade almost revolutionized the superhero genre, like so much so that I think it is 100% considered the spark that started this superhero craze. Like it came out, it was rated R, it was, the source material was taken very seriously. The movie happened to just be a vampire movie that happened to be starring a superhero Blade character. They grew the world really well. And like you said, Wesley Snipes was one of those early guys there that was able to integrate, everyone was either, a gunslinger of some kind, or they were like a Jean-Claude Van Damme martial arts guy. But Wesley Snipes kind of did a good job of combining those two elements together and was able to, hold his own in a firefight and whip out the martial arts. And it wasn't, your Chuck Norris, karate style, he kind of
Yeah.
like would incorporate all kinds of, capoeira type, like very athletic movements that not a lot of those action stars kind of did. You wouldn't see Arnold Schwarzenegger execute the same things that Wesley Snipes was able to do.
Yeah.
He went on a hell of a run of an action career, but I think Blade is one of his most iconic movies. And then now you get to flip over to John Wick. These guys, the director, Keanu, everyone involved, was, I don't think I appreciated it as much at the time. I don't know if you did, but all the stuff with the guns and all that kind of stuff. If you don't see that in a newer movie now, you're kind of wondering, going, "Oh man, why didn't they? Why didn't he reload that cooler? Why didn't he? Why didn't he like pull the eject the clip or drop the whatever, right?"
Yeah.
So that the whole gun fu or whatever you want to call it has become a new thing in action movies. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger. We've all heard the story of on Terminator. He trained to fire the guns without closing it, without blinking. And then in Terminator 2, I think he took it up a notch, and he was like really working on the reloading and not having to look, because a machine wouldn't have to look. So now you get guys like John Wick with the speed loading and all these fancy things going on. It's a whole technique era in its own. So I think this is the move for Marvel. No, like
I mean, you're not looking for like a crazy story for this movie. You're looking for solid action, a certain goth vampire nightclub aesthetic is what you want, right, from a Blade movie. Not after watching those previous ones, and then you obviously have Mahershala Ali, he's a great actor, but I think he can do the action stuff, and I think it'd be a great action movie. The only problem is, you said you had the date there, 2025. I know like almost 2 years for this, or more than 2 years for this. This is kind of crazy to me, but and everyone's in the chat's kind of echoing it. It's like they like Ali, but is he going to stick? He's going to stick around. He's tied to this movie for like 5 years now. Is he just finally going to be like, you know what? Like, I got other things to do now, like things like that. Remember when Channing Tatum was Gambit for 5 years? Like, is this thing gonna come out? And then finally he dropped out, and you're like, okay, thank you. But like,
maybe he'll do it. Maybe he'll do a grizzled older Gambit. I don't think it's gonna happen. Especially now, he more rocks like a shaved head look, right? Gambit is very iconic for his big hair. So if you put a fake hair piece on Channing Tatum, I don't think it's gonna go over well. And even like would you ever consider, like, obviously this is a CAI render, so Wesley Snipes may or may not look like this. In my mind, he kind of looks like this, right? But he is older. But Keanu Reeves, like, I don't know what their age difference is. Maybe I'll try and look that up quickly. But
Keanu Reeves, how old is he when he did the first John Wick? Probably like late 40s, almost 50. He looks like he's 60 something now, right? Like,
so, Keanu Reeves is 59 right now.
Yeah, so there's no limit.
To
how old
and Wesley Snipes not too far off. Wesley Snipes is 61. So it's not too far off. Maybe he wouldn't be able to do some of the crazy moves that he did before. But maybe he could do it. Maybe this is what I haven't really watched much of his work since he came back. Like, I saw him in Expendables, and I think I saw one or two other projects that came out, but nothing has brought him back to and of course, how can you achieve like this type of moment again, right? It's always like, but that's probably the apex, and then it, unfortunately, sometimes you can't quite get there again. But could it be his Top Gun Maverick return to the action theaters? Like, I don't know.
I think that'd be really rare for something like that to happen. I think more likely you're going to see him have a cameo like his Blade's dad, or like a flashback or something. He's like the previous iteration or something, and they're showing like him passing his torch or something. But I don't think they would involve him that heavily, especially as a lead.
In the lore, if you guys are familiar with the comics, there is a guy that trains Blade, so maybe Wesley Snipes is open for a role like that. But there was already speculation that he was going to cameo of some kind beforehand. But I think Blade definitely deserves its due as the starting of the superhero genre, and maybe it could step in and do something like this. I think for both of us, maybe our favorite superhero movies are the superhero movies that are good, just genre movies that happen to have superheroes in it. Like Winter Soldier, we always bring it up here. Blade. I'm trying to think of something else that comes to mind right this second, but nothing at the moment. But like just something that just happens to be a good movie of something else that happens to throw in your superheroes and stuff like that. Right. yeah, Steve's mentioning that Tom Cruise is kind of showing his age. Yeah, the Reacher movies not quite there. Yeah, so good point. The first Jack Reacher movie I think came out around the same time as John Wick. And at the time, if I had to pick between the two, I probably would have chose the Jack Reacher movie. But now my appreciation for the John Wick and what they did for action and weaponized combat. It's,
I guess more practical.
Yeah. The practical effects and showing off the. We don't really like to glorify guns that much, but man, hell, do they make it look cool in those movies? But anyways, okay. So thanks everybody. If you guys would watch the John Wick Blade edition or whatever you want to call it, combine them into that movie. I think most of the people in the chat were on board, but if you did not make yourself known, let us know in the comments if you'd go watch John Wick Blade, and if you'd want to see Wesley Snipes back in the role, or if you're okay with them rolling forward with Mahershala Ali or casting someone new. So we'll see if that happens. Speaking of recastings, Steve Ewan out as Sentry. A lot of heat. It started as a rumor. A lot of people are like, "Oh, what's going on?" And if you notice in the picture, Sentry is one hell of a white guy. So they were doing something different here. And we even got talks of costume fittings. He talked about, "Oh, I guess I'm only going to wear yellow and black costumes out of Invincible." So do we care that Steve Ewan is out? Do you think it was just a stunt in the first place, Chris, or does the current trajectory of the Marvel universe maybe not make these superhero movies as appealing? Supposedly he dropped out because of scheduling issues. But 5 years ago, if you had a scheduling issue and you were in a Marvel movie, whatever it was that was blocking your schedule was swept off the board. So
yeah, I mean, we all love Steve. I think we all love Steve Ewan. We're waiting for him to get his big break into the action genre. I guess this might have been it. I think Sentry would have been the villain, maybe, right? Am I right on that?
Like he's kind of an unnerved character. They could have made him a hero.
Yeah, it seems like he would probably start as a hero and then start getting unnerved and then become the villain of the movie, maybe something like that. Yeah, I know there's a whole team in Thunderbolts of already existing heroes. I think those would probably be, and introducing a new one. I think he would have probably ended up being the villain. I think he would have been good. Marvel's treatment of some villains, is notoriously bad in some of their movies. Maybe that might have factored in as well, and then the fact that like you said, Marvel's kind of going downhill. But yeah, we do. I'm waiting. Like we all liked. I mean, not we all. I keep saying we all, and maybe I'm generalizing too much. I liked Beef. I think you like Beef. That movie,
I like Beef, especially his performance.
Show,
even if you didn't like the show, we all like Beef. Yo, who's not Beef? Or beef in general.
The TV show on Netflix.
I do like eating, red meat and beef in general. But yeah, Beef. Even if you did not like the overall concept of the show, Steve Ewan, a hell of a performance in that show.
More, like a award-nominating performance, things like that, and we're all kind of waiting for him to shift into his action, like more action genre, and this would have been a great mainstream movie for him to kind of get into. But again, like you saw with the Blade thing, that was 2025. This thing is like just announced. When is this going to come out? Like there's only one Marvel MCU movie this year, right? That's Deadpool, and then after that they have some other ones lined up like Captain America, things like that. This is probably like 2026. Like we're thinking like him staying signed on for that long maybe was like he said, scheduling things. So I mean, I'm disappointed. I would have loved to have seen him in a role like this, typically like you said, given to a hell of white guy. And I'm all about representation, things like that. So I mean, it would have been great, but not too disappointed in it. I just hope he steps into something maybe of that caliber, mainstream wise, sooner. I would hope.
Maybe he'll dive over to like a Bond villain or something like that. I remember when Rick Yoon was like, we were like, oh man, he was so cool in Fast and the Furious, and then he just ended up playing bad guys his whole career. So we'll see what happens. He was the guy with the diamonds in his face, folks, if you didn't remember. All right. Speaking of exits, we will quickly mention Jonathan Majors is officially out as Kang. And he is slated to do, I think he did an interview with ABC already, and he's going to be doing a Good Morning America interview that's going to debut tomorrow, telling his side of the story. We're not going to delve too much into kind of what is going on with him in his personal life, but I do want to ask, do we care about this Kang storyline? Some people, when you bring it up and you're saying, oh, who are they going to cast as Kang now? Some people just would argue, hey, this whole phase of the MCU has definitely, to put it politely, has been underperforming maybe. So I don't mind. Like, I didn't watch Loki season 2, Chris. So if you watch Loki season 2, hopefully you might have some more input into this. But I'm okay with this character. Spoiler alert: Ant-Man Quantumania being defeated and just disappearing. It didn't quite work. Major's performance, whatever you think of him and his issues aside, was one of the best parts of that movie, and he is being good in other movies I've seen him in. But I don't know. Do you care that do you want to see the Kang storyline resolved, Chris? Like,
I don't think so. I think I'm with you on it, and the fact that Kang's supposed to be the Thanos level baddie for this whole, I don't know, it's not really a phase, right? It's the whole like saga of this next part of Marvel movies, and like you said, didn't really hit in Ant-Man. I know, not really Jonathan Majors' fault. I don't think he did he did well enough with what he had, and again, that movie was bad. And yeah, it didn't really hit. Loki season 2, he kind of had a different, obviously different take on it. He was more of like a kind of scientist, and then the what's it called, He Who Remains. He had a different kind of more menacing role in that too. But as a big baddie, the guy who's supposed to be like the major overarching villain for this whole saga, I didn't see it. It didn't hit. And I think it's probably a good opportunity for Marvel to kind of rethink this multiverse thing.
Pivot.
Yeah,
They pivot off this character. Scott mentions, bring on Doom, Doctor Doom. Like, you've got him. You've got the rights back. Fantastic Four. We've already heard casting choices and all that kind of stuff. So bring on the next big bad guy. You guys already burned Apocalypse from X-Men, and Thanos ran his course. So I don't know. I don't know who you got next, but I think I'm okay with this Kang disappearing. Like you said, I didn't watch the Loki season 2. I don't think I'm ever going to watch it. So I think some people were saying, it doesn't quite have a resolution for this character. So maybe that's why people want to see him come back.
Yeah, and we all, as someone mentioned in the chat, we all saw the Council of Kangs, and me and you being big Rick and Morty fans, and we've seen this already. Like we saw that he's copying that Council of Rick's idea, and I know Jonathan Majors, we get to play a bunch of different versions of the same guy, which would be kind of cool for him. But and I guess that was probably part of what drew them to try to make this guy the big bad character. You can have different iterations of him in different multiverses, but this multiverse thing hasn't hit as well as the Infinity Saga, and it's time to move on. I think
just the entire phase. We're not placing this on Jonathan Majors' performance of Kang or anything along those lines. We're just saying it doesn't seem to work for people. And if the said controversy and things didn't happen, maybe they would have been steering away from it in general anyways. Generally it looks like a lot of people did like Loki season 2 out of the Marvel TV shows. I don't
is Doctor Doom the choice here, John? You're a big, obviously the big comic guy. Is Doctor Doom the choice?
I think you get in these other pieces into the game. You get in your Fantastic Four pieces, you get your X-Men pieces.
The X-Men's the big one, right? Like that's
I don't want to call it a sinking ship, but I want to say that people's attention span is much shorter nowadays. So you gotta keep it moving. And if this Kang thing didn't work out, I've seen all kinds of people talk about casting John Boyega. I saw people mention on the guy who played Onimaus from Spartacus. Sorry, I forgot his real name. And
don't. The worst thing they could do, I think, is a recast and then just move forward with this. That would be, I think, crazy.
I even saw like the guy who played Jeffrey from the new Bel Air. I'm going to mention Bel Air again. Everyone hates it when I mention Bel Air, but who played Jeffrey from the new Bel Air TV show?
Yeah. I mean, I heard the guy from the Black Manta from Aquaman. I heard that too. It's like, what are you just going to pick another?
You're just going to name every black actor in Hollywood.
No. They gotta redo this. I think like they had the Ant-Man, like you said, the Ant-Man ended it. Let's just stop. Like, I mean, he's out there. Maybe they can.
He lost. And spoilers aside, like the movie is kind of bonkers. So if you're gonna save Doom for Secret War, maybe you take your time and ramp up. You don't get. I've heard people compare Infinity War Endgame to their Super Bowl moment, and then they instantly tried to chase that moment again. So they should probably slow down lay some more lay some more of the groundwork. Yeah. Scott's like, yeah,
I
dude,
mean,
if
like, come
Ant-Man
on.
can end it, yeah, it's not looking good. The guy who wanted the orange slices, right, Chris?
The guy
His
gets tired.
boyfriend
He
from
gets big
Friends,
and he gets
Mike.
tired. That's it. Yeah.
Mike from Friends kicked your ass. I don't know. But anyways, okay, let's move on to the next one. Chris, I think we all
Yes.
like Peacemaker? Peacemaker? Yeah, I think we're big fans of Peacemaker, right?
Yeah. Everybody thought, when James Gunn took over and he was basically demolishing this whole universe, it was basically save Peacemaker at all costs. This was like the greatest DCU property out there.
Yeah.
Keep him, please. I mean,
Yeah.
this
So
show in its entire, you watch the entire show and it's like in
yeah,
entirety, I think it's head and shoulders above any of the Marvel TV shows that they put out there. That may be a hot take, but I think quality wise and
I think
it's just,
yeah.
like comedy wise, quality action sequences, all that. I thought it was very like head and shoulders above any of the stuff Marvel's put out.
I think we usually don't mention it in the conversation because sometimes we just end up divvying it up. Like this is the DC, this
Yeah.
is the Marvel, this is the video game stuff. But Peacemaker, 100% probably ranks among my highest of
Yeah.
superhero related TV shows. I think it had a lot of heart. And basically the story is, folks, that James Gunn, who is, always loves to answer people on social media and stuff like that. Someone asked him what's going on with Peacemaker, if it's part of canon, all that kind of stuff. And he did basically stay on Threads. I don't know who else is on Threads. Scott, me and you, I think we're on Threads. He stated that season 2 is over halfway written. Now, don't get too excited, folks, because they haven't even started filming anything. So they probably won't get to that until maybe 2025. So we might not see Peacemaker season 2 till 2026. But like Chris said, this was a hell of a show. Music wise, I still have a lot of the music on my kind of like playlist. Like
one of the best intros like sequences ever.
I'm surprised we're gonna see it coming up in the future. You're gonna see people bust that out still.
There's a sequence. I think James Gunn said it's pretty high praise too, and he says like John Cena is the best improv actor he's ever worked with. And there's a sequence in the show where he just names people. It's like because they say it's his dad, whatever. Spoiler alert. And he go, "Who else do you think it could be?" And he just literally names people for like 5 minutes. How long could
he's sitting at a table or something like that
for 5 minutes? Yeah.
And the story is the director just go keep going. Like, and that's one of those great things of great performer. A whole era of comedy brewed off of this idea of improv from was it like 40-Year-Old Virgin, and I guess all those Judd Apatow movies, which we have talked about a little bit in this show. Just universally, everyone in the comments loves this show, Peacemaker. So I'm surprised they wouldn't try and get something out earlier, especially with DC and this kind of like
all these things are taking. I guess maybe the strike kind of put a 1 year gap in everything being worked on right now. But a lot of things are you originally asked me to prepare for this by thinking about things, my most hyped things for 2024. So I was watching some videos of 2024 things, and I'm like, there's not much, like a lot of stuff delayed and not much coming out. So it's just like, or it's things that are coming out and we haven't even seen anything about it and things like that. So so I think waiting for these things is going to be the worst.
I don't know. Sometimes time will fly by pretty quickly. Yeah, Scott mentions the scene you're talking about, and there's outtake. Yeah, I think there's a whole blooper reel from this TV show, which is great. Like it's been a while since I've really actually wanted to see a blooper reel from a TV show. So maybe this Ted Lasso, I'd love to see more blooper reels of that, and stuff like that. Like these fun shows. So definitely looking forward to more of this. Looking forward to adding to my playlist. I did like these kind of obscure bands. I kind of picture them. Some of these bands, like they're just maybe they retired or maybe they're still touring. I think some of these bands were still touring, and all of a sudden you just see they open their phone and they got like a huge bump on the their streams or their sales or something, just because James Gunn is a fan and decided to use one of their songs in the show. And then we'll wrap up with the last story, folks, and then we'll let you guys get back to finishing off your holiday. So thanks for joining us. Thank you, Chris Ho, for coming on again. And we'll talk about the thing that's coming out next. And the next thing coming out is Daredevil, the new Echo show. It's coming out January 10th, so right around the corner, like 3 days from now, 3-day countdown. The latest trailer, which I think had its subtitle called Hurt, it features a lot of clips from Netflix Daredevil, leading a lot of people to believe that all of that season or all of that Netflix show is now canon. in the current Marvel universe. So I haven't heard your thoughts about this Echo show yet, Chris, but me and Rob and Stu, we watched the trailer. We say it looks pretty promising. It's one of the first shows that's got that little claimer, turn off your parental controls to see this.
Yeah, that's funny. Go into settings, turn it
you
within the
gotta go in
trailer.
Otherwise, you're not going to see this. It's not going to pop up. If your kid's settings on, this show is not going to come on. So the trailers look very promising. But what are your thoughts on Echo, Chris? How do you feel about this new
like
show?
I mean, we those who watch the I think it was Hawkeye TV show got introduced to this character. You know, it's kind of like, all right, cool, yeah. And then they announced they're making a show. You're like, okay, whatever, right? Like, but now that the trailers have come out, you're like, hey, interesting. They're trying to, I guess they're not relaunching, but like kind of, I guess relaunching the street level kind of Marvel TV show things, which we all kind of like the concept of on Netflix, right? We like the concept, we like the characters they chose. Maybe the execution was a little rough around the edges, but this looks like kind of a relaunch of the Kingpin. And I've heard a lot of people saying online like Kingpin's going to be the Thanos of the ground level, like the street level superhero, which sounds cool to me. Yeah, the last trailer had a lot of Kingpin in it. Everyone, I like this. I keep saying everyone. My apologies. I like this Vincent D'Onofrio, the royal character of Kingpin. He's massive. He's like this kind of sumo wrestler, like unstoppable guy. For these people without powers, it kind of works for me. And the hyper violence. And I hope the action sequences have to hold up, like in terms of like these other high bar action sequence like in John Wick, things like not as high bar as John Wick, but like now that we have that in our minds, it needs to hold up to that in that area and be good action sequences. Because I remember like we all like, Iron Fist will be great. We watch one of the action sequences, Iron Fist, we're like, oh boy, who coordinated this thing? And it totally ruins it because this is supposed to be like a guy who can fight. So, anyways, the action sequences need to hold up. I remember the Daredevil Netflix, the first season, they had that hallway fight scene. Shout out to Old Boy who kind of pioneered that whole thing. The one-shotter kind of hallway fight had something like that, and that we were all like taken aback with it. Oh, that's a great sequence. So if Echo can do that, and someone mentioned in the chat only 5 episodes, that's good, because the Netflix ones were 12 episodes, and that was crazy. That was way too long. That's way too much.
My biggest issue with the Netflix series was they overstayed their welcome, for sure. Too much filler. Tell a concise story, a la Hawkeye, and things like that. But that hallway, you were talking about that hallway scene. That's probably one of the greatest TV fights. I'm hard pressed to think of another one that would come to mind. At this moment, but that was.
And then the Daredevil canon thing that just opens the door for Punisher, John Bernathal's Punisher being in canon. Love that. I love that version of Punisher. So this opens the door for that. Then I'm all for that. But again, the trailer did. I'm a sucker for a good trailer, and that trailer really drew me, and I'm gonna end up watching the show.
Yeah. So Steve does mention, if you guys watch, some of the nerds out there have pulled some of the footage. So some of the footage, there's a footage of Echo and Daredevil fighting, and when you slow it down, it is. I hope, fingers crossed, it was probably just the stunt guys and gals kind of messing around, or something that's not on the final cutting room. But it did look rough. But you are possibly watching out of context portion of some video that gets cut down, and maybe they were just like, hey, do some stuff. And the scene is them. If you look it up, they're fighting in the kind of shadows, and there's a fence in the way. And it looks kind of rough, but everything else looks really solid. Action, violence, that type of stuff. So
I mean, me and you've watched a lot of Asian martial arts movies. The North American style, a lot of cuts. Really dark. I can't see what's happening. They can try to hide this stunt double's faces. I'm about to punch the guy, and you're gonna change camera angles. Like, come on. I wish they would just study this kind of thing and try to make these action sequences a little more like those older Asian movies that still hold up today, like the action sequences in those movies.
Dead giveaway. If it's not as strong, you're gonna see a lot of cuts, and you're gonna see it zoomed in way too much. Like, it's gonna be too close.
Or really dark. Like they just love to they put everything in the dark, because I guess it's at night, I guess, or whatever, Daredevil at night, and he because he's got the sonar hearing, he can fight in the dark, but no one wants to see that.
Well, you won't be able to see it. the screen just turns to black, and you just if you have your subtitles on, like all us old dudes do, and you just hear scuffles. You see the word scuffles, fighting sounds,
person being punched, hitting the floor.
They could cheat it like that, and it'd be like, oh, okay, fight's over.
Two people start to tussle.
Yeah, we really hope that maybe Echo is gonna pay off. Like I'm hoping. Like I did enjoy Hawkeye. I haven't watched it. I didn't get to watch it over the holiday season.
It's a good path to do this street level stuff because like they're not elevated enough to be in movies, and you don't have the giant special effects. Like people who watched Nick Fury, what was the complaint at the end? That whole special effects sequence with Super Skrull was like super, like I don't know, like the CG wasn't great because it's a TV show. There's a budget. Like do these more street level guys or guys and gals, and like really like get the action sequences right, and then you can start a whole genre like that. And I think that's a good path, and hopefully this is the start of it.
Yeah, kind of keep it simple formula.
Yeah.
Okay, exactly. So we're gonna wrap up here, folks. Since I did make you do a little bit of work, Chris, did you have? I think it's possibly going to come up in the next couple episodes, maybe later this month, folks. When the other guys are back, we're going to talk about like upcoming hype for 2024.
Oh, there you go. Cool.
Did you? This is some random dude from Reddit. He made a collage for me. I didn't have time to make a collage. Okay. But it's really small writing. But if you guys have something you're looking forward to in 2024, quickly shout it out. Just so we can kind of close with that. Chris, when you were doing your quick research, did you come across anything that you were really?
The biggest thing is that it was a TV show. The biggest thing that stood out to me was Fallout, the TV show, because I played like all the games growing up. Love that whole like that whole universe, Fallout universe, and I like how it's very satirical. It's very like post-apocalyptic kind of feel, and I hope they really and I think it's made by the same guys who did, was it the Boys or something like that, like maybe and it's on Amazon Prime, so hopefully it'll have humor. It'll have
Boys is quite an entertaining show, and I don't know if you watch Gen V, that's actually a pretty good show too. So if it's got those same guys, I remember if you guys grew up playing the old video games, it's always had that kind of humor. Even though it was kind of like an RPG game, you have
the drawings of your powers as the Vault Boy comic and things like that.
Yeah, so it's very always funny, had those moments. So I look forward to if they can make,
especially coming off Last of Us being so successful, like video game to TV kind of thing. I hope this one has the same kind of effect. And then movie wise, I guess I'm interested to see how bad Madam Web will be. It's just kind of funny. You have like this Madam, like I just remember her from the old TV show from the 90s, like the cartoon, like the old lady sitting in the chair, kind of telling you what to, and now they're making a movie about it, and may or may not have Spider-Man in it, or probably not, doesn't have Spider-Man in it. Is it going to be like incredibly bad?
It's a really deep cut to make this show, but you never know, it might work. I often joke that there was also a comic that starred a young Aunt May and her friends when they were teenagers. I'm like, why don't you go even more obscure and make something like that? Of course, I think everyone's gonna probably shout out Deadpool. The
only MCU movie,
the only MCU
this year.
product on the lineup. I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens with this Joker Lady Gaga thing. The Furiosa trailer did look pretty good. And we'll see what happens and what 2024
if Rob was here,
brings us.
I think he'd mention Dune, probably, right?
Yeah, Dune too.
I mean, like I said, I'm a sucker for a great trailer, and that trailer for that looks like it's gonna be a lot of action, but I hope it's actually true and there's action and not a lot of what the first movie was. But
be a lot of talking.
Killing every character that you find mildly interesting.
Oh man, okay, so we should definitely have Scott and Chris team up if we ever start to talk about Dune 1 before we get into Dune 2, because it sounds like Chris O not quite as impressed as me and Rob. So shout out to that. If anybody's got anything else, Lewis still hasn't watched Dune 1.
Should watch them together.
Questions. Watch it back to back. You just take
like 5 hours a day. And just watch both of them back to back.
Oh my god. All right, folks, so thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys had a fantastic holiday. I hope Rob is feeling better, so maybe he can jump on back next week, and I hope Chris you'll come back and we'll talk about some more stuff.
Anytime,
see who else comes off their suspensions and things like that. We always got to bring in some weird stuff. Was there any sports movies in 2024 that were coming out, Chris? Did you see on there? It's definitely not going to be on this guy's list.
No, not on this guy's list. I don't think so.
Nothing. Yeah. Nothing. We'll see what the big sports movie of that comes out in 2024 that we can compare to Moneyball and see if it beats it. So yeah, shout out to Steve Tekken 8. I'm looking forward to Tekken 8. Steve, we're gonna have to meet up. We're gonna have to fight and do some Tekken sports movies. Yeah, Lewis might be right. There might be nothing on the schedule unless there's like Gridiron Gang 2 or some weird obscure thing.
That's your reference to a sports movie. It's Gridiron Gang.
Yeah, Gridiron Gang The Rock, right? They're a bunch of like inmates or something, and he gets them together through football. I'd watch a Replacements. If Keanu Reeves is going through his entire back catalog, he's done Bill and Ted, he's done The Matrix. Maybe he's done with John Wick. Maybe he goes back and does The Replacements. I do want a Footsteps Falco jersey still. It's on my list. But anyways, thank you everybody for checking in. Lewis mentioned there's a Karate Kid coming at some point in time. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't mention that, John. Yeah. Is it gonna have the people from the TV show in it?
I don't think so. I think it's gonna have. I think it is slated to have Jackie Chan, but we'll see what happens with that. Anyways, thank you. I don't think he's even got the invite. So thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you, Chris, for jumping in. And we hope you guys had a fantastic holiday. We'll see you on the next one. Peace out.
Take care.